Chapter 2, Lesson 7, Percent of a number. You will be able to find the percent of a number. You can use fractions and decimals to find the percent of a number. To find the percent of a number, write the percent as a fraction with a denominator of 100 because percents are out of 100. Reduce the fraction, then multiply the fraction by the number or total. You can also change the percent to a decimal instead of a fraction. Use whichever method is easiest. Complete the following problems. I will do it both ways, and you can choose from there which method you prefer. Refer to the circle graph. Suppose there are 300 students at York Middle School. So 300 is our total. Find the number of students that have cheese as a snack. Okay, so here are the snacks, and cheese is 15%. So what we need to do is put 15% over 100, and then reduce it. Divide by 5, and we get 3 over 20. Now take that reduced fraction of 3 over 20 and multiply it by your total. In order to do this, we need to put our total over 1. 3 times 300 is 900 over 20 times 1 is 20. Divide those out, and you get 45. So how many students have cheese as a snack? 45 students. So that's one method. Another method we'll look at B. Find the number of students at York Middle School that have chips as a snack. So chips are 18%. So what you can do, instead of changing 18% to a fraction, change it to a decimal. Remember, we take the decimal point at 18, which is at the end, and move it 2 to the left to get our decimal. So all we have to do is take 0.18 and multiply it by our total of 300. So what this does is it eliminates that reducing step. And then we just multiply. You will have to, of course, then actually multiply. So we have 0, 0, 24. Cross it off, placeholder. 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 0 is 0, 1 times 3 is 3. Add them up. 0, 0, 4, 5. Now remember, I have 2 behind the decimal point, so I need to have 2 decimal digits also behind the decimal point in my answer, which is 54 students. It's really up to you which way you prefer. The nice thing about using the fraction method is you can generally do the math in your head. However, sometimes you won't be able to. Sometimes you will have to do long division here, okay, or multiplication if you don't know what it is off the top of your head. So you decide which method you want to use. Letter C. Find the number of students at York Middle School that have no snack. So we have 12% without a snack. Okay. I'm going to go back to the fraction method so you can see that again. We have 12%, which is out of 100. Reduce it. I can divide by 4. We get 3/25. Now take that fraction, 3/25, and multiply it by our total amount, which in this case is still 300. 3 times 300 is 900. 25 times 1 is 25. And now the division. And this is an instance where I don't know what 900 divided by 25 is. So I have to do some long division. 25 goes into 90 3 times, which is 75. Subtract and get 15. Bring down the 0. 25 into 50. 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150. That's 6 times evenly. So we get an answer of 36 students. So it doesn't matter which method you choose. Some of them may be simple, and you can do the math in your head. Others won't necessarily. And the decimal is just a couple little steps. So it's up to you. Percents greater than 100 and less than 1%. You may choose whether to write the percent as a fraction or a decimal based on the problem. Sometimes it might be a little bit easier to write them as decimals as opposed to fractions, and vice versa. You can decide. Okay? So letter A, find 145% of 320. Okay? Let's do the fraction method. 145 over 100. Reduce it. Looks like we can divide by 5. 20 is the denominator. Let's see, 5 goes into 14 twice, which leaves us 4, which leaves us 28. We can actually reduce more. I can divide by 4. And we get 7/5. And just to be safe, I'm going to double check my math since I did that mentally. 145 divided by 5. 29. That's why I like to check my answers. So actually, this is 29. And that is reduced. Now we take our 29 over 20 and multiply it by our total, which is 320. Okay. Our denominator is easy. That's 20. And then we need to do 320 times 29. I'm going to do that on a separate page. Nine times 0 is 0. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. Plus 1 is 28. Placeholder. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 2 is 4. And 2 times 3 is 6. Add them. We get 9,280. Remember, fractions are division, so now I divide 9,280 divided by 20. Twenty goes into 92 4 times. Twenty goes into 128. Well, we have 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. Makes it 6 times. And into 80 is 4. So 464 is our answer. Looking back on this, I probably would have preferred using the decimal way. So let's do letter B the decimal way. 220%. Take that decimal point, move it 2 to the left, and you get 2.2. Multiply it by 65. So 2.2 times 65. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Put a placeholder. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 1 is 13. Add them up. And we have 1 digit behind the decimal point. So 1 digit behind the decimal point here, which is 143.0, or just 143. So our answer is 143. And I think I'm going to stick with the decimal method, save myself some work. 0.25%. Even though it's already a decimal, you still need to change it. It has a percent sign. You still need to move the decimal point 2 to the left. So we have 0.0025 times 58. So 0.0025 times 58. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 2 is 16, plus 4 is 20. 8 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2, and 8 times 0 is 0. Cross everything off and add a placeholder. 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1, and 5 times 0 is 0. Add them up. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers behind the decimal point. Start at the end and go backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 0.1450. Find 128% of 550. We take our 128, move the decimal 2 to the left. 1.28 times 550. Just checking the math problem. Yep. 0, 0, 0. Placeholder. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. 2 placeholders. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 4 is 14. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. Add them up. We have 1, 2 behind the decimal point. 1, 2 behind the decimal point, which leaves us with 704. Find 0.3% of 200. We still need to move the decimal point 2 to the left. So 0.003 times 200. Lots of zeros here. 0, 0, 0. Placeholder. 0, 0, 0. 2 placeholders. 6, 0, 0. We have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So it looks like 0.600, or we can simply just write that as 0.6. Letter F, 0.85. Move it 2 to the left. So we have 0.0085 times 600. Zero, 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 placeholder. 0, 0, 0, 0. 2 placeholders. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 8 is 48. Plus 3 is 51. 6 times 0 is 0. Plus 5 is 5. And 6 times 0 is 0. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 behind. 1, 2, 3, 4. Always start at the right when you're counting. So we would have 15.1.